For the past few weeks, I've been testing branded Chimera, and I gotta say, it's an incredibly fun deck. It can generate a ton of advantage while putting up some solid endboards. It can also utilize two of the most broken cards in the game, Super Polymerization and Branded Fusion. Now, the only real problem I have with the deck is sometimes I open a hand of 5 normal summons and lose to a single imperm. So to make sure I open Wasted Fusion even if I get impermed, I decided to throw in 2 regular Polymerization. I'll post a deck profile soon after this video comes out, so keep an eye out for that. The following matches are me testing the list at Friday Night Locals like I regularly do, so subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. Round 1, I was up against Carl, who was on Snake Eyes Rescue Ace Horus. He starts off with Wanted, and since I thought he was on the Fire King variant, I ashed it. And unluckily for me, Carl still goes full combo. This end board is actually crazy, but I felt confident in my ability to play through it, so I go to my main phase and special summon Fenrir, and with quick effect priority, I use Super Poly to get rid of his Masquerena and SP to make Mud Dragon. And from here, I have the longest game 1 of my life. Time gets called right before I'm able to push for lethal, and fortunately, I'm higher on life. It was an incredibly good game that would probably take me 20 minutes to narrate. The funniest part of it all was we had 4 or 5 people watching the match near the end, and this was their reaction to hearing that this was game 1.
That was game 1. Huh? What? Huh?
Even though it went to time, it was a good game, and I hope me and Carl run it back sometime soon. Round 2, we're up against Cody on Goblin, a deck that I haven't played against before. He won the die roll and went first, setting up a board of Utopic Draco Future, Full Armored Dark Lancer, and a Goblin rank 3. My hand is solid, being able to Super Poly away Utopic Draco Future and his Goblin Xyz, but an Ash on my Mirror Sword Knight just kind of ends my turn, and it's not too long before I have to scoop. Game 2, I go first, and my board ends up being the Baphomet Fusion, Chimera, Mirror Sword Knight, and 2 back row. In the end phase, I hand rip his triple tactics, which is incredibly lucky. I pass to Cody and fire off Sword Knight only to be met with Called By, eliminating my negate and easy access to follow up. He summons Fenrir and starts comboing off, but I stop him by super polying into Dragostapelia using his Tsuchinoko and my Chimera. This allows me to negate the only Xyz he can really make and also negate and destroy the Fenrir with Kodal when he activates Fenrir's effect on resolution. From here I can bring back Baphomet with Chimera's Grave Effect, have Baphomet grab me more resources, and use Chimera Fusion to make Guardian Chimera. I use Guardian Chimera to destroy his Xyz monster, and all he can do is summon another copy of Fenrir and scoop. I'd love to say that game 3 was as interactive as game 2, but well, it sucks to get hit by D barrier, but good games to Cody nonetheless. Round 3, I'm up against Mitchell on Pure Snake Eyes. I won the die roll and went first, setting up a board of the Baphomet Fusion, Chimera, Mirror Sword Knight, and 2 Chimera Fusion set. Plus, in the end phase, I ripped Cosmic from his hand. Mitchell's hand is decent, but he couldn't push through my interruptions and just had to set up Flamebirch for my turn 3, plus set an Imperm, but it was not enough to stop me OTKing him. Game 2, he went first, but bricked. So he set 3 cards, plus setting a monster, and passes. In my draw phase, he flips up Anti-Spell, and wouldn't you know it, the Fusion deck can't fuse without its spell cards. I still do what I can and normal summon Gazelle, search Chimera Fusion, and swing for some damage before setting 2 and passing. Mitchell combos off and ends up sending his own anti-spell with Ash to extend, turning on my back row, but by then the damage is done. He goes full combo and makes a board I can't break on my following turn and ends up taking game 2. Game 3, my hand is nice. I start with Branded Fusion, which gets ashed, which is perfectly fine since I can follow it up with Sword Knight and end on a board of Sword Knight, Chimera, 2 back row, and King Tiger Wanghu in my graveyard. Plus, in the end phase, I rip Diabelistar from his hand. In his draw phase, I use Sword Knight to summon Baphomet and grab me more cards from deck, and Mitchell uses Wanted to grab back his Diabelistar in grave. Mitchell goes to his main phase and summons Diabelistar by sending Oak, and triggers her effect to set a Sinful Spoil spell from deck, but I chain Sword Knight to negate it. Follows it up with 1-for-1, discarding Flamebirch, but I chain Chimera Fusion. I fuse here because if he adds Populous, there's nothing he can really do with it, so I make Guardian Chimera to pop Ash and Diabelistar. However, I probably should have waited because he adds Kurikara and summons it by tributing over over my Guardian Chimera. He swings over my Wanku that I summoned, and then in main phase 2 links off Kurikara for Linkuriboh. In the end phase, I use opening to summon Alibur, searching me branded fusion. I draw for turn and summon Albaz and fuse it and Linkuriboh off to make Mirror Jade. Branded fusion gets me Dragoon, and even though I couldn't swing for lethal, there's not a single top deck that can get him out of this situation, and I end up taking it. Good games to Mitchell. For the last round, I'm up against Dre on Snake Eyes Fire King. This footage looks different because my phone died in the middle of recording, but Dre has his own channel called Different Gaming, and he was recording his local matches for his channel. A link to his channel will be in the description, so go check out his channel if you have the chance. I end up winning the die roll and I went first, setting up a board of Dragoon, Chimera, Sword Knight, and 3 back row, plus ripping Cosmic Cyclone out of his hand with Chimera. In his draw phase, I use Sword Knight to get more resources and let him proceed to main. He starts with Snake Eyes Ash, grabbing Populace, summoning Populace, and searching for original sinful spoils. He links off Populace and places it in the spell and trap zone before using original to sack it to summon Ponix. But on summon, I negate Ponix effect with Sword Knight. Dre links off Ash and Linkuriboh for dark, and on summon, I super poly it and my Berferment away for Mud Dragon. He uses triple tactics to force out my Dragoon negate, but unfortunately for me, he opened another copy of tactics and took it anyways. It wasn't that bad though, because the best thing Dre could do was beat over Chimera and link into SP. SP activates on summon to banish Chimera from grave, so I chain it to summon back Gazelle and grab me another copy of Chimera Fusion. He passes over to me and I summon Kit to grab Branded Fusion and use Chimera Fusion to make Trigger Stapelia. Without fear of SP, I go full combo and Dre scoops. Game 2, Dre goes first and ends on Sanctuary, Island, SP, Arvada, and 1 set card. He passes to me and I Cosmic Island, which resolves and he lets Island pop his SP and Arvada. In New Chain, he triggers Arvada as Chainlink 1 and Garunix as Chainlink 2. I chain Called By to avoid Garunix, but he chains Bell to stop me. This leads to him summoning Kieran and Garunix, with Garunix popping Kieran from deck to bring back Arvada. I normal summon Gazelle and use its effect, but Dre negates it with Arvada, popping the Snake Eyes Oak in his hand. On res, I use Chimera Fusion to make the Berferment Fusion using Berferment in hand and Gazelle on field, triggering Berferment as Chainlink 1 to dump an illusion from deck and Gazelle as Chainlink 2 to search an illusion. Dre chains Sanctuary to Xyz, so I add Kodal and dump Mirror Sword Knight. On a new chain, Dre attempts to blow up all monsters with his Xyz Garunix, so I chain Sword Knight to negate it. Dre chains his Imperm here to make Berferment not have his name be treated as Chimera, and he did this because he didn't know that Sword Knight would still resolve. I followed up with Chimera Fusion in the Imperm column because I'm an idiot, so I just swing over Arvada from here and pass. Dre draws, uses the Xyz to boost itself by 500 by popping Sanctuary, and swings over my Berferment. He sets 1 and goes to the end phase, where I use Berferment's Grave Effect to revive my banished Sword Knight, which gets me into main deck Berferment, who searches me Kit and a Chimera Fusion. He passes to me and I fire off Chimera Fusion, but he chains Judgment, putting him at 4,000 life points. This is excellent for me as I can now just normal summon Albaz, fuse our 2 monsters into Mirror Jade, and swing for game. Good games to Dre. Now my conclusion on Chimera so far is this: the deck is very powerful when it works, awful when you brick, and not able to run that many hand traps. I think that it could probably get a few regional tops this format, but I don't expect it to win many events at all, if any. But the deck is relatively cheap and very fun, so I'd recommend it to anyone trying to test out something new. I ended up getting first place and pulling a Calarium from my prize packs, and I plan on continuing to test this deck more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching today's video, subscribe for more content like this, and check out sealed only dinos. With that, my name is Gokuzemi, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!